You're listening to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast, and I'm your host, Britt. Guided by my own intuition, my intention is to deliver genuine conversations centered around health and wellness, spirituality, self-expression, and culture. In this space, I will provide you with real-life stories, theories, and inspiring perspectives to help you uncover and tap into your own true potential. I'm so grateful you've chosen to tune in with me on this mindful exploration to living a more fluid life through a deeper connection to the soul. Now let's dive into today's journey. Welcome to the Loving Your Own Soul Weekly Digest. If you're new around here, I'm Britt, and I am so grateful to have you here. Every Thursday, I will digest and decode a different health and wellness, spiritual, trending, or cultural topic so that you can better understand and feel more on trend in the ever-changing world we live in. And this week, I will be giving you the download on Eastern versus Western medicine. As always, please do not forget that I am not a trained medical professional, and while I am certified through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, I truly do not claim to be an expert in any of these areas. Our weekly digest episodes simply stem from theories, research from qualified field professionals, and my own findings and opinions on the areas we discuss. For any specific questions or topics you'd like to see on here, definitely feel free to connect with me on Instagram or shoot me a DM at Loving Your Own Soul. And as always, do not forget either to always do your own research and form your own opinions. Now let's dive in. All right, so this topic is one that I've been wanting to bring up for a while. So my purpose here is not to harp on either Western or Eastern medicine, just to simply highlight what each one is, and that really there is truly a benefit for both of them more so than ever in our society that we live in. As I shared in an earlier episode this year, my husband had actually had Dan, somebody said to him when they asked, "What does your wife do?" And he was like, "Oh, she's a holistic wellness coach, health coach. She works in holistic wellness." And the individual explained, "Oh my gosh, so your wife doesn't believe in doctors?" And like, what? It just like, to think that that thought exists, it just breaks my heart. It really truly breaks my heart so much that anyone would think this, but more so that so much separation has been created in our world and communities that these beliefs are very real and do exist. There's a need for everything, and it just pains me how much separation has been painted and created in this world. I mean, I've even had an individual ask me about my style of eating, and while I was explaining it and overjoyously telling them about the benefits of papaya and mango, I look over out of the corner of my eye and see that this person was actually smirking and silently laughing at what I was saying, which is just so sad. It's just so sad. Yeah, just I guess because like fruits and plants, they come from this earth. They are our earth's gifts to us, and their healing properties are rooted so much in ancient wisdom that I understand. I guess it's hard for some to understand per the ways we've been conditioned in diet culture and marketing campaigns and all the things, but yeah, there's just so much truth out there, and it's so convoluted, it sometimes can be hard to trust the truth, but really, things don't have to be as complicated as we've kind of allowed them to become. But anyway, so Eastern and Western medicine and why we absolutely need both of them. So I mentioned earlier, it's really a full team approach. There is space for all of it. All of it is just as necessary as well. And as with anything, both systems have their pros and cons. Just like there could be a holistic practitioner and a general healthcare professional. So to that point, the term holistic, if you aren't familiar, is characterized by the treatment of the whole person, taking into account mental and social factors rather than just the symptoms of a disease. If you head back to my previous episode from earlier this year, it was labeled, I think, "What is a health coach?" You'll see where I kind of describe the difference in working with a holistic health coach as myself versus a trained medical professional or doctor. So if you're still a little confused on the two, you can think of it this way. If you break your bone, who are you going to go to? Your heart is failing and you only have 2 hours left to live. Who are you going to go to? Or you have a compromised immune system and need a lifestyle adjustment. Who are you going to go to? Or you've been diagnosed with a chronic illness and feel there might be another way to heal your body more naturally. Who are you going to go to? Time and place for everyone and everything. We can all truly exist symbiotically together, ideally. You can also look at it too as kind of like preventative care versus acute care, which acute is that like active or short term type thing. All right, but anyway, let's go back to Eastern versus Western medicine. So Eastern and Western medicine both really offer unique perspectives that are fundamental to healthcare today. And it's actually kind of really cool that there are a lot of Eastern medicine practitioners out there who are already working in kind of like an integrative manner at healthcare facilities across the United States. There are, so many prestigious medical centers such as Mayo Clinic, University of California, San Francisco, I think it is, Duke University. A lot of them really are kind of combining the Western and Eastern philosophies to create almost like an alternative medicine treatment for their patients. And I even learned recently too through one of my trainings that Reiki, an energy healing modality, is even utilized in several of the well-known hospitals here in the US, which is so cool. I just love the bridging of the gaps and everything starting to come together, which is fun. But when looking at the differences between Eastern and Western styles, they are kind of commonly defined as these two different sections. So Eastern really sees the body as a garden, defining health with integrity, adaptability, continuity, and the outlook here is just to cultivate health with doctor and patient in partnership together in order to improve ecological conditions. So the goal here is to enhance the self-regulatory capacity. Whereas the West sees the body as a machine, commonly defining health as absence of disease and functioning within normal parameters. So the outlook here is kind of like a war on disease, where the doctors are kind of like the army general and disease is the enemy, and then patient as like an occupied territory. So the goal here is to eradicate symptoms and maximize performance. Really, neither is right nor wrong, just two different approaches that, when combined together, really have the ability to be very powerful. So I do want to talk about the history of each because I love research. I love history. History is just fun to know. All right, so Eastern medicine. Eastern medicine has been around for nearly 5,000 years and actually began when ancient herbalists experimented with plant substances and their effects on humans. There are substances that have been found to enhance health, beauty, energetics of the body, and the mind. Whereas Western medicine has only really been around in its current form since the 19th century, although there is proof of the roots actually beginning in ancient Greece and Egypt, which is kind of cool. However, it wasn't until World War II that the development of synthetic drugs really kind of began. And this is also when the current Western medical system started discovering how it can manipulate certain actions in the human body through the use of synthetic pharmaceuticals, which is kind of a big difference between the two, just in the fact that Eastern philosophy uses whole food formulas to nourish the body's ability to heal itself, while Western philosophy isolates and forces therapeutic actions throughout the body by utilizing laboratory-modified medicines. Now again, neither good nor bad, as both have their place given particular situations and what type of medicine is needed at that time. So I think the bigger thing to understand here is, yes, what each one is, but then also that we all have more choices when it comes to our bodies and the way we treat our beautiful temples that we reside in than we really realize. So, a lot more choice that we have. So let's kind of look at the two different methods of examination. So we have Eastern medicine, which I think we're understanding by now is obviously a little more holistic, especially in the examination aspect, as it kind of takes every aspect of the body into account. Because the body cannot be compartmentalized based upon the disease, it makes sense to consider how each bodily system is affecting the others. So Eastern medicine does not evaluate, say, an illness purely based on the symptoms a person is showing, but really on those complex patterns and the disharmony taking place within the body. I hope that makes sense. Now, let's look at Western medicine. So, Western medicine compartmentalizes a person's diagnosis, looking at each system individually rather than how they work together. So this could be, there's so many specialists in Western medicine, like you have a psychiatrist, endocrinologist, orthopedic surgeon. So Eastern practitioners are trained to listen with the whole body and kind of pay attention with that like sensory input, which is very different from Western medicine, where the focus is generally just on kind of like how the system is affected. And because of this way of thinking, that's where the pharmaceuticals and surgical procedures are based on how they affect each individual organ or organ system, instead of maybe considering how the systems are intertwined with one another. Now, again, there's been so much incredible science and technology, and there's just so much out there. I don't want anyone to think that I'm like touting on Western medicine, because it really is incredible. It's just, again, there's pros and cons of each one. And I do believe, my personal opinion is that Western medicine, with how much technology there is, should be able to just look more holistically at the body compared to individual, I guess would be my only thing. So you can kind of think of it as well, is like Western medicine is all about fixing the body. Okay, so if a body is missing a substance, the Western medical approach is to really supply that substance. And while yes, nutrients would be totally necessary, something that you would want to supplement, there can also be man-made pharmaceuticals that get supplemented with good intention, yet also have that potential to cause adverse side effects. So that's kind of the only thing there. Whereas the Eastern medical approach is to engage and support the body's own self-healing mechanisms through balancing the energetics of the body and ridding the body of energetic blockages. So if the body is missing a substance, the Eastern approach is to stimulate the body to create it, therefore allowing the body to heal itself. But again, pros and cons to everything. When the body is severely compromised, like with that trauma, that severe illness, the body is undermined and the capacity to heal itself may be impossible at that moment. So again, that's where, like I said, we really need this combination of both, and there's really a time and place for each. So when making decisions, it's just important to really look at the crisis of a situation at hand, and then also consider the long or short-term gains and side effects. So value for each, obviously, as you can see, there are several differences between the two medical systems, but if the two can work together, I believe that humans will ultimately be better off, especially because Western medicine focuses heavily on the physical proof, and then Eastern medicine is more subtle, focusing on the energetics of the body. So my hope is that one day the two will be better able to work together, and I definitely think there has been a lot that has gone on that's really kind of brought the two together. But like I said, do remember, we all have so many more choices than we think. So always do your own research, seek out truth, listen to your intuition, and just do your best to form your own beliefs off of what is actual facts. So I hope you enjoyed that today. Just a little bit of a download as to Eastern versus Western medicine, because I know there can be a lot of muddied information out there. So thank you for tuning in here with me today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.